morning. We are going to do some porch yoga in place of a live session on Tuesday, because I will be out in the wilderness. So, for this class, we're going to be focused on alignment and transitions in our practice, with some emphasis on shoulder girdle. And what I mean by that is like all of the muscles that stabilize your shoulders and your arms. So in the front, you've got like all of those little muscles in your rotator cuff and to your pec muscles, and then around the back and over the front and the bottom. So everything stabilizing your shoulder blades up into your neck and your traps a little bit. So the shoulder girdle is like all of that stabilization. So we're not going to be able to focus on every single little muscle. Obviously we're not going to be doing that kind of isolation movements, but we're going to be focusing on stabilizing the shoulders as a whole. So getting those all active. So we're going to start down on our backs in Shavasana. And while we slow things down a little bit, we're going to focus on alignment and transitions, like I said. So we're really going to need to connect our mind and our body to slow it down and move mindfully, and to be careful as we move, transitioning from pose to pose. So that's why I'm calling this the stickler asana, because we're going to be sticklers about making sure if we want to put our foot in a place, it actually goes to that place. So we're going to cultivate our breath lying down on our backs in Shavasana. If you're there already, great. If you're not, gather your things and let's get on our backs. So closing the eyes if that's comfortable for you. Letting the muscles relax through the legs and the arms, even on the face, letting your eyes close. Start to notice your breath, your life force, and start to inhale more deeply. With that deeper inhale, let the exhale be longer. And then we can start to build our ujjayi breath. So on your next inhale, inhale deeply and exhale with the mouth open like you're fogging a mirror. And the next time you do this, close your mouth halfway through. So you're still keeping that whisper of the breath in the back of the throat on the exhale, but it sounds through the nose. A few rounds of this on your own. Inhaling deeply, and exhaling through your ujjayi throat restriction, keeping the mouth closed. Building a little bit of heat and concentration in the body here. On your next inhale, start to move your body. Maybe reaching your arms up and away from your head and your toes away from your body. Nice long stretch. Bending those knees and planting the soles of the feet onto the ground. And then bringing your knees into your chest for a nice squeeze. Maybe rocking back and forth. And we're going to come to a reverse tabletop with the legs. So bending at the knees, stacking the knees over the hips, and bringing the legs to a 90-degree angle with the ground. So shins parallel to the ground. Just go ahead and flex your feet to feel that engagement through the legs and waking up the core. The core is important for stabilizing the rest of the body. Trying to bring your hip bones and low ribs together here. So bringing your abdominal muscles, your belly button down towards the ground. Bringing those low ribs and hip bones together. Keeping your pelvis neutral on the ground. We're going to do little toe taps. Your arms can be behind your head or by your side, whatever is comfortable. And then we're just going to touch our toes down, one leg at a time. Starting with the right leg, go ahead and keep the tabletop shape and just touch that right toe down. And the inhale, bring it back up. Exhale, the other side. Left toes touch, and then they come back up. And again, right and left. Moving mindfully and slowly. Exhale as you touch your right toes down. Inhale, bringing it up. Especially with the core work, keep going at your own pace. The slower, the better, because we're not using momentum, we're using the muscles, right? One more on the left side, and then we're going to work on doing them together. So coming back through center, tabletop, legs here, 90-degree angle. You can point the toes here if you'd like. Holding this shape with your legs, moving, hinging from the hips. We're going to let the toes both down on the exhale, and then inhale, bring them back up. And just a couple times on your own. Exhale to touch the toes. Inhale to bring it back up to center. Exhale, let the toes touch, keeping those low ribs and hip bones together, keeping your spine from arching off the ground. Exhale, touch. Inhale, back up. Exhale, touch. Inhale, back up. Last time. Exhale, touch. And inhale, back up. And then go ahead and hug those knees back into your chest. So, in this easy squeeze, it's called an asana, or the direct translation is wind relieving pose, because you are pressing into your ascending and descending colon. Try to keep reaching your tailbone down to the ground and your shoulders glued to the ground. So if you can have your whole length of your spine touching the ground, that's great. That's what we're going for. So if you have to ease off the knees a little bit to get your spine long, start there. Start maybe with your straight arms holding your knees out in front of you with a long spine, shoulders and tailbone and pelvis, everything touching the ground, and then slowly bring your knees in. And that point where either your shoulders pop up or your hips, your pelvis pops up, stop and work from there. So stop at that place of where your alignment starts to waver and hold in good alignment. That's your edge, right? So that's what we talk about when we're like, hold at your edge. So think about your edge as the edge of your alignment. where your strength or your flexibility, right, where your form on your alignment starts to waver, and stop there. Okay, enough of that. We're going to roll, rock and roll back and forth up to a seat. And go ahead and stretch your legs long out in front of you. Sitting up tall here, waking up the hamstrings for a quick second in Dandasana or staff pose. Flex your feet back towards your face. Keep your legs long, but they can have a bend in the knee. No problem. You don't get an award for having straight legs, right? Plant the palms of your hands by your hips and go ahead and reach your chest up. Stacking your shoulders over your hips, reaching those low ribs and hip bones together, right? You're not going to arch your back up. Keeping a long spine here and holding here. Sitting as upright as you possibly can. Maybe reaching your feet forward even more to straighten the legs if that's in your flexibility. This morning, it's a little tough for me. I'm a little tight in the hamstrings, right? Keeping those knees bent if need be, but finding your edge. Finding that slight discomfort and holding there. Okay. Let go a little bit with all that work in the legs. Maybe go ahead and point the toes slightly. But keep those, so pointing the foot, but flexing the toes back. That's where we're going to stay. And then we're going to do a little bit of a more Pilates type move to focus on the front and the sides and the back of the core. So bring your hands to your heart center, and you can interlace your fingers maybe, and then keeping your hands maybe on like your solar plexus, your belly, your chest, whatever's comfortable, to flare those elbows out. You're gonna tuck your tailbone and round your back slightly so that your chest is still reaching up, but now your abs are really engaged as you start to reach back slightly. And you can keep your toes in any position you like. I kind of like to flex just so I'm strong in the legs. Okay, reaching back slightly, tucking that tailbone and holding at your edge where you are not straining to the point of hurting yourself, but you're finding a little bit of that discomfort. Okay, and then we're going to reach back and twist to touch that right elbow down by the side. And you're going to inhale to come back to center, trying to just twist. So if you had to go down further to get to that side, tuck your tailbone even more and reach down further. And then go ahead and reach over to the side and touch your left elbow down. And come back through center on the inhale. Exhale, right elbow. And you can move your hands a little slightly here across your belly, but trying to get that twist. Exhale, touch that elbow down. Inhale through center, holding your abdomen at the same level every time. Exhale to twist and touch. Inhale through center. A couple more times at your own pace. Exhale and inhale, using your breath, finding that ujjayi breath if you lost it. Use your breath to help you move through this discomfort. Last one on the left side. Inhale through center. And go ahead and sit all the way up. Bend your knees. Bring them in to a Sukhasana, or an easy sitting pose. Technically in Sukhasana, you want to sort of stack the ankles and the shins. But whatever's comfortable for you. It's called an easy sitting pose. So, sitting up in your easy sitting pose, stacking those shoulders over your hips, maybe your hands on your knees, sitting up tall on the inhale, On the inhale, broaden across your collarbones, letting your shoulders reach away from each other. Maybe the shoulder blades down slightly, your back, but away from each other. You're not reaching your shoulder blades towards each other, right? Reaching your shoulder blades away from each other, reaching your collarbones long, your head floats effortlessly on top of the rest of your spine. Inhaling one more breath here, and exhaling one more breath here. We're going to inhale and reach our arms out and then up overhead, releasing the shoulders away from our ears. So keeping our low ribs and hip bones reaching towards each other, arms overhead. The idea is maybe to get them in line with your ears, but if they're slightly in front, that's no problem. Palms face each other, shoulder blades down the back. Inhale long here, and as we exhale, we're going to look over to the right, under that right armpit, and then plant the left hand on that right knee, and your right hand will just be a kickstand back behind you for a nice seated twist. Inhale to elongate your spine, and ujjayi, exhale to twist deeper. You can look ahead, or you can look over that right shoulder, whatever's comfortable for your neck. Sitting here and breathing, finding that alignment, keeping your spine stacked on top of each other, keeping the muscles engaged through your core, because that is what is activating the twist, right? Using your hands as secondary stabilization. Those internal levers of your muscles are the things that are driving the twist. One more breath here. On your next inhale, reach those arms back up, come out of your twist, facing forward. One inhale and exhale to recenter before we go to the other side. Inhale, reaching long, spine long, low ribs and hip bones still reaching towards each other. And as you exhale, start looking under your left arm, twisting your chest towards the left, and then go ahead and add your arms. Reach your right hand to your left knee and your left hand back behind you as secondary, right? We're not going to torque ourselves into this with the hands. Reaching your chest up over your hips, using those internal levers we just worked in the last posture. Remember that elbow twist, right? We're using those muscles to help us ease into this twist. Inhale, long spine, reaching your chest up slightly. Exhale, bring those low ribs and hip bones together as you twist deeper. Another inhale to elongate, and exhale to twist. And on your next inhale, reach your arms up overhead as you come back through center. One breath here, inhale, and exhale, hands down to your knees, and then over in front of you. And we're going to come to a tabletop position. Hands under shoulders, knees under hips, stacking like we're a little table quadruped, right? Go ahead and untuck the toes so the tops of the feet are planted on the ground. Find a long spine here. Okay, broaden across those collarbones, reaching that tailbone and head away from each other, but still engaging those low ribs and hip bones together, right? That never stops. And then we're going to go through a couple cat-cows. So as you inhale, reach your chest through your arms, reach your tailbone up on the inhale, and as you exhale, round your back to the sky. Go ahead and look in between your legs. And then inhale, reach your chest through your arms, your tailbone up to the sky. And exhale, round your back to the sky. Look through your legs. A couple on your own breath. Inhaling for cow, chest through the shoulders. And exhaling for cat, doming your back to the sky. Inhaling for cow. And exhaling for cat. On your next breath in, come back to center. At your tabletop position, long spine. We're going to reach that right arm forward, maybe bringing that upper arm in line with your ear, but keeping that shoulder away from your ear and in line with your left shoulder. And then we're going to reach that left leg back in line with the hips and holding our bird dog position. Take a look back underneath your body to make sure those left toes are pointed directly down to the ground so that your hips are level with one another. Holding here, engaging those abdominal muscles, keeping that core active. Stabilization here is coming from the core. Holding for another breath, finding that alignment, finding your edge, and then exhale, hand and knee back to the ground. We'll go right into the other side, reaching that left arm forward, maybe the arm in line with your ear, and then adding that right leg if you'd like, straightening that right leg behind you, bringing it up in line with your hips, looking down to make sure that those toes are pointed directly down to the ground so your hips are level with one another, releasing that trapezius or the upper shoulder muscles away from your ears as you reach that left arm forward. Engage in the abdominals here, low ribs and hip bones together, holding you stable for another breath. And exhale, go ahead and release your hand and your knee. Bring your toes to touch, maybe hips slightly further apart. Go ahead and sit your butt back towards your feet, reaching your hands forward for child's pose. Go ahead and breathe here, release the effort. Alright, start reaching your hands forward, pressing your palms into the ground so that your arms lift off the ground, not releasing those shoulders away from your ears, trying to spin those elbow pits, or the opposite of your elbow joint, the part that sticks out, opposite of your elbow, the elbow pit, towards the sky. Go ahead and tuck your toes under, shifting forward slightly to press up and back into downward facing dog. Go ahead and take your feet wide for this downward facing dog. Pressing your hands into the ground, pressing your fingers into the ground. Releasing those shoulders away from your ears as you press into the ground, trying to reach your elbow pits up to the sky. Engage those leg muscles to reach your hips up and back. Go ahead and walk your hands back to your feet. Or slightly wider than usual forward fold. Exhale and let your body hang here, bending at the knees, enough to bring your chest and your belly to touch your thighs. Once you have that connection, you can work on straightening your legs, but you want to feel that connection. You can grab opposite elbows if you'd like. Some more weight and relax your head through the head. You can maybe shake it, yes and no. Let the weight of your arms release any tension in your shoulders and your back. Release your hands to the ground. And then heel toe your feet together slightly. Maybe hips with distance. Maybe if you like the traditional toes touch heels slightly apart. We're going to come stacking, rolling up our spine to standing. Slowly, one vertebra at a time, stacking your spine to come to standing, to Tadasana at the back of the mat. So So Tadasana, as always, is one of our preparation poses for our sequence and for life, right? Standing up tall, collarbones broad, shoulder blades broad, reaching your low ribs and hip bones together, right? Releasing those big butt muscles, engaging the legs, reaching the tailbone down to the backs of your knees. Holding here on the inhale, close your eyes. Try and focus on the feel of your body without looking. Connect to your Ujjayi breath again. Inhale, arms out and up overhead, keeping your torso in Tadasana. Exhale, arms out and down for a forward fold, bend at the knees. We're going to inhale for a half lift, fingers reach to the outsides of the shins. And exhale, go ahead and fold forward, release. And we're going to inhale with a long spine and bend at your knees. We're going to come up to standing from the hips. Inhaling, arms up overhead, still reaching the lower ribs and hip bones together. And exhale, maybe hands through center and down to your side, back to Tadasana. Alright, we're going to put that together. So go ahead and take a nice walk up to the front of the mat. Maybe this time we could go a little bit more traditional. Toes touch, heels slightly apart in your Tadasana. Reaching your arms down by your side, broadening across those collarbones, and reaching your lower ribs and hip bones together, right? Pressing your feet into the ground, keeping this position with your body. Go ahead and inhale your arms out and up overhead. Exhale, bend your knees, hinge at the hips, forward fold. Inhale, half lift, fingertips comes to the outsides of your shins. Plant your hands and step back to a plank. One foot and then the other foot. And holding your plank for a moment, knees up or down, broadening across your collarbones here, tucking your tailbone slightly, engaging through the legs, reaching your shoulders forward, shoulders stacked above wrists here. And then go ahead and everybody put your knees down to the ground. We're going to set up for our chaturanga, or low plank. But we first want to get the alignment, right? So shifting forward so that your shoulders can come slightly over past the wrists, more over the fingers. And then bending those elbows back, directly back towards your hips, bringing your chest to come level with your elbows, making a 90-degree angle with your elbows, your wrists, and your shoulders. And then go ahead and let your belly come all the way to the ground. So holding chaturanga at that halfway point is important. So if you can't do that with your knees up, do it with your knees down. It's not a crutch. Modifications are because everybody is different, right? All yoga is good yoga. Know that yours doesn't have to look a certain way. Tune into your body for the feel of it, right? A couple moments here, making contact with the ground. Go ahead and bring your fingertips in line with your nipples. We're going to press up, peel our chest away as we inhale, come up, lift up. And we're going to hold our low cobra for a moment. So in low cobra, we're trying to reach those shoulder blades down our back, towards our butt, reaching those elbows back in towards us, down towards our hips as well. We're reaching that chest up and forward, engaging the low ribs and hip bones together so that we're not pressing our bellies into the ground, right? Holding here, maybe hovering the arms. Hovering those hands off the ground. And then exhale. Release your hands to the ground. Let your head touch. Shifting through hands and knees. Back through a child's pose. Tucking those toes under in child's pose. Exhale, pressing up and back to downward facing dog. Holding our downward facing dog for a few breaths. So that is a great version of the sequence. You are more than welcome to flow through that. Or we can work a little bit more to a higher level if it's right for your body. Knowing that whatever is right for your body is right for you. Trusting yourself to know when to challenge. Looking forward at your hands. Exhale, step, walk, or float your feet to your hands. Inhaling for a half lift, fingertips to the outsides of the shins. And exhale, fold forward. Inhale, bend your knees slightly, arms out to the side, just standing, long spine. Arms up overhead. And exhale, release your hands down by your side for your Tadasana. Alright, I'm going to flow through that again. Maybe leveling up if you would like. Inhale, reach the arms out and up overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale for that half lift. Exhale, plant the hands, stepping back to plank or jumping back to chaturanga. If you're jumping back, land with those bent elbows in chaturanga. Stepping back to plank and then flowing through, if you'd like. If you're jumping back, jump back directly into chaturanga, yeah? Inhale, up dog, hands and feet making contact, or low cobra. And exhale, shifting up and back to downward facing dog, or through child's pose. Holding here for 3 breaths. Reaching those fingers into the ground, pressing the fingertips and the knuckles into the ground, reaching those elbow pits to the sky, releasing the shoulders away from the ears. Looking forward on the exhale, bring your feet to your hands. Inhale, half lift, spine long. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, arms out overhead, come up to standing, arms in line with your ears. And exhale, hands down by your side. Alright, waking up the body a little bit more here. We're going to sit our hips back to come into chair or our awkward pose. Sitting those hips back enough that we're waking up all of the muscles through the legs, but not so far that your knees start to cover up your toes, right? Shifting back so you can see all 10 toes, maybe lifting them off the mat, maybe reaching your arms up and in line with your ears on your inhale, sitting deeper, holding here. Then exhale, go ahead and let it go, fold forward. Inhale for that half lift. Exhale, plant the hands, step back to plank or jump directly into bent arms chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog or low cobra. And exhale, up and back to downward facing dog. We're going to bring that right knee into the chest, shifting forward through plank, keeping that knee underneath the chest, maybe popping up on those right fingers to plant that foot in between the hands without letting your knee reach outside of the arm, right? You want to keep it in. Go ahead and bring that left foot in slightly, just so the sole of the foot can plant onto the ground. Left toes facing the top left corner of your mat. Maybe heel to heel alignment here. Maybe wider. Bending into that right knee, stacking the knee over the ankle. Bringing your arms up with your torso to come up right here for warrior one. Trying to face your torso to the front of the room. Reaching those arms up in line with the ears, releasing those shoulders away from the ears. Bending in that right knee, keeping the left leg engaged. Stamping that left leg into the mat. Holding here for warrior one. And then exhale, release your hands to either side of your foot. Pop those left heels up. And then keeping your knee inside both arms, go ahead and reach it up into your chest, shifting back to a plank, holding your plank for a moment, knees up or down here, shifting forward slightly, right? So your shoulders are over your fingers, bending your elbows back towards your hips to come to your low plank or chaturanga. Shifting to the top of your feet for your inhale, upward facing dog. Rolling over the toes, hips up and back for downward facing dog. Bringing that left knee into your chest, maybe popping up on those left fingertips to bring plant your left foot in between your hands without bringing the knee to the outside of your left arm. Bring those right toes in slightly, just so you can plant the sole of the foot onto the ground. Right toes reaching towards the top or right corner of your mat. Maybe heel to heel alignment with the feet, bending in that right knee. Reaching your chest forward, maybe bringing the arms up in line with your ears as you come upright in your warrior one position here. Pressing, energizing through that back right leg, stacking that left knee over your left ankle, reaching the arms up, reaching your low ribs and hip bones together to protect the low back. No arching in that low back, right? Reaching your chest forward, arms up, holding here for a moment in warrior one. Be strong, be fierce in these warrior poses. They're not supposed to be easy. And exhale, release those hands to either side of your foot, popping up onto the right toes, reaching that left knee into your chest, and then letting the foot come off the ground. Stepping back into a plank, holding your plank for a moment here, shifting those shoulders over your fingertips, knees up or down, tucking that tailbone, engaging the legs, bend at the elbows 90 degrees, bringing your shoulders level with your elbows. Inhale, upward facing dog, top of the feet and hands touching the ground, or low cobra. And exhale, up and back to downward facing dog. A few breaths here. Looking forward to your hands at the bottom of your exhale. Step your feet forward or bringing your toes to touch, knees together. Exhale, knees into your chest, jump up. keeping your knees inside your arms, even if they splay out slightly, they don't stay touching the whole time, that's okay. We're trying to keep them inside your arms. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold forward, bending your knees, hinging at the hips. We're going to inhale into our chair pose, knees touch, toes touch, reaching our arms up in line with our ears, sitting our butts back. And then exhale to your Tadasana, standing at the front of the mat. All right. Coming to our Tadasana, releasing the butt muscles, engaging the lower ribs and hip bones, engaging the legs by stamping the feet into the ground, reaching those arms down, the shoulders away from each other, maybe reaching those arms out and up on the inhale, arms overhead. On the exhale, bend your knees, hinge at your hips, forward fold. Inhale, half lift, hands to either side of your shins. And exhale, bend your knees to keep a long spine, pressing your hands into the ground. Step back to plank or jump back into chaturanga. Inhale, up dog or low cobra. And exhale, shift back to downward facing dog. Looking forward to your hands. Inhale, shift to plank. Holding our plank here for a moment. We're going to bring our knees in towards our chest. So bring your toes to touch behind you, pressing your hands into the ground, your knuckles into the ground, broadening across the collarbones here as we slightly dome the middle back, tucking the tailbone, engaging the legs, but they're opposite movements, right? Broaden across the collarbones as you reach your back up, right? So finding that balance. Inhaling here. Exhale, bring that right knee up into your chest. Hold it up, bring it up, hold it in. Maybe give it a kiss. Exhale, step back. Inhale, left knee into your chest. Hold it here for a couple breaths. Use that Ujjayi breath, focus. And exhale, step it back. Holding plank and shifting up and back to downward facing dog. Looking forward, stepping your right foot up in between your hands. Turning that left foot parallel with the edge of your mat. Walking your hands to the inside of your right leg. Bring that right foot parallel with the short edge of your mat. Bringing your feet parallel with the short edges of your mat. Reaching your chest up, maybe fingertips touching the ground. Weight more in the balls of the feet than the heels. Finding that shift. Reaching your chest forward and up. And then exhale, fold down any amount. Bending slightly in the knees if you need to. Or working towards straight if you'd like. Walking your hands back, maybe in line with your heels. Fingertips facing the same direction as your toes. Try to bring your elbows more in towards each other so you can see what your chaturanga arms should look like, maybe making a 90-degree angle at your elbows. And breathing here, surrendering into the fold. Inhale to elongate the spine, reaching your head to the ground. And exhale, let gravity do the work. Inhale, go ahead and walk your hands back in line with your shoulders, finding a long spine on your inhale, coming up to your fingertips. And start to walk your hands back over your right foot, turning those right toes to the front of the mat, popping up onto the left toes, and stepping back to your plank. Holding your plank here, toes touch one another. This time, we're going to bring our knees up into our elbows, or if you can reach it, up into your armpit. So holding a strong plank, right? Finding that broadness across the collarbones as you reach your spine to the back, to the sky, engaging through the legs. And then on your next exhale, reaching your right knee to your right elbow, maybe to the upper arm. And then inhale back, and exhale, left knee, left elbow, and exhale back. And again, exhale, right knee, right elbow, inhale here, and exhale, reach it back to plank. Exhale, left knee, left elbow, inhale here, and exhale back to plank. Shift up and back to downward facing dog. Holding here for a moment. Bringing one elbow and then the other to the ground, or both at the same time, as if you were in forward forearm plank, but keeping that downward facing dog, hips up and back. We're in dolphin position here. You should feel like an aquatic mammal, like a dolphin here. Looking up in between your hands, bringing one elbow up and then the other, or both at the same time, to straight arms to your downward facing dog. Shifting forward slightly, let your knees touch the ground, sitting back to child's pose for a moment. Reaching your hands forward, palms press into the ground, shoulders away from the ears as your arms press up and off the ground. Looking forward, tucking the toes under, coming back to your downward facing dog. Looking to your hands, stepping your feet to the outsides of your hands, or jumping into a squat. Feet the width of your mat or wider. You can have your heels in slightly, your toes out to the side, or maybe your feet parallel, whatever works for your hips. Pressing your elbows into the inner parts of your knees to try and keep your knees from collapsing in. In the squat, maybe hands together. Maybe pressing your chest up. Bringing your torso upright here in your squat. And if you'd like to play with a little bit of crow pose or arm balance, if you're ready for that, plant your hands onto the ground. Bring your hips up slightly to straighten your legs a little bit. And bring your toes right behind your wrists. Hands planted shoulder width distance apart. Bringing your knees up as high up onto your arms as you can. You're going to work on shifting forward, bringing the weight into the hands, pressing the fingertips into the ground, maybe bringing one toe up, maybe the other toe up, maybe making a shelf with your arms, maybe pressing your arms straight, holding here for a few breaths, or staying in your squat. And exhale, jump back through chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. If you'd like to flow through your vinyasa, shifting your hips up and back. Go ahead, bend the knees, plant them onto the ground, bend the elbows. We can play a little bit with another version of crow I like to call baby crow. Keeping the forearms on the ground, planting the hands into the ground here, walking your knees in towards your arms, making a little bit of an egg shape with your body, right? Getting in tighter. So maybe shifting your weight onto your feet, tucking the toes under, bringing your knees up, maybe walking them in further, maybe walking your arms in towards your feet further, maybe bringing those knees to the outer side of those upper arms, maybe shifting forward, maybe flying those feet off the ground, and then letting it go. It's just a little bit of playing around. Go ahead and sit up tall here on your knees if that's comfortable. Taking a recovery breath, maybe a sip of water, if you've got it, whatever you need to let it go. Whatever happened, didn't happen, doesn't matter, right? Shifting your hips to one side, bringing your legs out in front of you. Bring the soles of the feet together to touch. Knees fall away from each other for that butterfly or Baddha Konasana. Stretch here in the hips. Maybe interlacing your fingers around your toes, making that little basket. Maybe reaching your chest up, keeping those low ribs and hip bones together towards each other, right? As you reach your chest up. And then maybe shifting forward to fold into this if you'd like. Any amount. Breathing here, releasing any work. Go ahead and round in the back. Maybe reach your arms forward out in front of you. Release the work here. As you inhale, walk your hands back towards your feet, coming up, seated tall. Bringing your feet out in front of you and rolling back onto your back. Bringing your soles of your feet planted on the ground behind your hips. Maybe hugging them in again. Keeping them hugged in, release your arms out to the side, bringing your arms in line with your shoulders. You could even bring your upper arms in line with your shoulders and bending at the elbows for like a cactus. And then bringing those knees in towards your chest and letting your knees fall over to the right for a simple supine twist. Your left knee doesn't need to touch your right knee. It's more important to keep your shoulders glued to the mat, to the ground. Glue your shoulders to the ground and then let gravity do the work to pull your knee towards the ground. Breathing into it, looking up or over to the left. Breath here. As you exhale, bring those knees in towards your chest without your hands. Maybe planting them onto the ground to reset your hips. Bringing your knees back into the chest without the hands. Bringing them in and then over to the left. Letting them fall over to the left. Keeping both shoulder blades glued to the mat so your right knee doesn't have to touch your left. It doesn't matter. All yoga is good yoga. Doesn't matter. Reaching, maybe looking up to the sky, maybe looking over to the right. On your inhale, see if you can elongate your spine. And exhale, let it all go. Let it all go here in this twist. Inhale back through center. Plant those feet on the ground in line with your hips. And then just let your feet stretch out in line away from your hips. Let them flap open. You can keep your arms like this if it's comfortable for you. Or bringing them in line down by your sides, in line with your torso. Coming into your last pose, Shavasana. Closing the eyes, releasing the muscles, releasing the work. Releasing the tongue from the roof of the mouth, releasing the muscles around the eyes. Releasing control over the breath, letting it come back to normal. Sitting quietly in your body, letting your mind be calm. Take a nice long deep breath in, maybe reaching your arms up and overhead. And then exhale, bending your knees, planting the soles of your feet onto the ground. Maybe rolling over to your favorite side. Maybe your arm could be used as a pillow here. Pressing up to seated, keeping your eyes closed. Coming to a comfortable seated position or staying down on your backs. Whatever you'd like. Maybe bringing your hands into your chest. And I want to thank you for coming to your mats. Your energy from afar is much appreciated. From my heart to yours, full of loving kindness. Namaste. All right, so thank you for tuning in. I am still accepting donations. 60% of the donations I receive from this yoga practice, I will send along to charity, sharing that loving kindness that you share with me. So, I will do another recorded video next week. I'm out in the wilderness a few weeks here, so still tune in virtually. It's all appreciated. I'm still here.